We're going live.
Oh, see? Joey, my phone can't be this way.
Now we need you. Now we need you.
Is it going?
Is it live?
Yeah, it says live.
But why can't I see anybody?
You are.
But normally I can see people when they come on. What? Oh, Danielle.
Hi, Danielle.
Ellen.
Hi, Danielle.
Hey, babes. Wade says hi, Danielle. Dwayne. Joey, Danielle beat you on. Okay, we're good, honey. Hi, Anna. Go now. If y'all can see what Joey's doing behind the camera. Hi, Elizabeth. Please. Oh, Danielle said hi. Okay, for real. Hi, Stacy. For real. I need everybody else out. Hi, guys. My family is giving me a hard time right now. Can you see? Karen, you gotta get in closer. Hey, Ash. How are you? Okay, can you all see everybody? Get in. Dee Dee! If y'all could see Joey and Wade right now. Hey, guys. We had to turn the camera sideways, so I don't know if y'all can see. I hate that your faces are behind. But it's, countdown is here. What, 2 more days now till my wedding. Thanks for being on tonight. I want you to meet my very best friends, Karen.
Hi.
And Tony. Can you tell how comfortable they are right now to be on camera? We've had a great day. I had my wedding shower today. Hey, Gail. There's Gail. She's on.
Oh, hi, GM. How are you?
So we had my wedding. Hi, Cindy. Wedding shower today, and we went shopping for shoes, and we all got some sunglasses. We've had a great day. Hi, Aunt Donna. So 2 days until my wedding, but I thought since I have my very best friends here that it was a great opportunity for me to talk about just friendship, relationships, our lives together. We all have lessons that we've learned, and we've had each other to support each other through it. So I want to introduce you, hey Kendall, to them. Let them tell a little bit about themselves and how they met me, and then we're just gonna dive in. And if y'all have questions, ask, and I'll try to read through them and answer them as we go. But you know, as you guys know about my life, it's been interesting to say the least. And you know how I feel about friendships, and they come and go in your lives. But these two have, Tony has known me for 30 years, and Karen has known me for about probably 14 or 15 years. And we've been through a lot together, not all 3 of us, but me and Tony and me and Karen. And I just think there's a lot of wisdom here as far as getting through life and challenges, but also the importance of friendships and the value it plays in your life, good and bad. So first of all, I want Tony to talk about how she met me, because we met our freshman year in college. And if you listen to my past 2 lives, we talked about judgment. I've talked about first impressions before, and negative self-talk, and the importance of how one decision can change your life one way or the other. So keep that in mind as you hear how these 2 met me and how it started. Okay, so I'm going to start with Tony, who loves being on camera and is so excited to be here. I made her do this, but so I want you to hear how Tony met me. 1988, I guess, 88, 89 is when we met at Florida State. Y'all know, I think most of y'all know I went to Florida State. Obviously, Tony did too. So we met being in my freshman year, but we didn't become real good friends until the end of our freshman year. So tell them how you met me, Tony.
Well, we didn't really so much as meet, but the first time I saw Heather, I needed to do laundry, probably halfway through the semester. And all of my clothes were filthy. I'd worn them at least 6 times each. So it was
to
time.
college life.
So I loaded up my dirty clothes, took my books with me, went down to the laundry room.
Talk a little bit louder.
Oh, went down to the laundry room. And I had planned to stay there and study. And when I opened the door and went in the laundry room, I saw Heather perched on a folding table in the corner studying. And she was so gorgeous, just like she is today. And I was so intimidated that I threw my laundry in and ran out of there faster than, you know. So that was the first time I saw Heather, and little did I know that about a year later, she would ask me to be her roommate. So
Yeah.
we didn't really hang out that much because I was too intimidated. So
Yeah, so kind of the funny story about part of that is that, you know, if your first impressions, and she, I didn't tell her to tell that story because she thought I was beautiful. The point of the story is that she made a first impression, got intimidated and fled. But luckily, how many months later, I don't even remember how we actually ran into each other again, but I knew I had this I knew that I liked her. I knew that I could tell that she was someone that I wanted to know. And, you know, quickly following my gut instincts, which I've learned to trust more and more over the years, we became friends. And I said, look, we need a roommate. Things happened, and we were desperate for a roommate. She had lost her roommate last minute.
it took desperation for her to ask me to be the roommate.
That's not happening. But it's just funny how things happen. But I knew that I could feel that that she was someone I wanted to know. But if she would have gone with her first impression, we wouldn't be friends today. And we've been friends for 30 years, and she knows me better probably than anybody. And then I met Karen years later, probably 14 years ago. I'm 48. She's a little slightly older than me, not by much. And listen to how Karen and I met, because this could have gone either way. Yeah. So Karen, tell about our first meeting and what you were thinking and how that went.
Heather was married to Jerry at the time, and my girlfriend, my very best girlfriend, who I was devastated because she was leaving town and she was leaving me, and she was selling her house to this fabulous couple, and she wanted a bunch of us to come and meet them at her house,
Which we were buying.
which Heather and Jerry were buying at the time, and introducing them to all these people. And not only was I devastated that my very best friend was leaving, in walks Heather and her husband, and you know, she's this perfect, beautiful couple walking in. They're taking over my girlfriend's life, and I was immediately, I'm never going to be friends with this girl. Absolutely not. She's not anything like I am, and I'm not going to be friends with her. And my husband at the time, who's now deceased, absolutely loved her. Like, he was like, oh, she is the coolest girl, the best, she's so great. And so that makes it, of course, at the time, absolutely worse. I'm like, exactly.
She was mean. She was a
never
bitch to
going to
me.
be friends with her now. So not only is she buying my friend's house, and my friend's leaving, my husband thinks she's great, and she's probably the prettiest person I've ever met in my life, and very wealthy at the time.
She did not like me
I didn't.
at all.
The thing was, there's absolutely I have nothing in common with this girl, because I had none of that was working. So she ended up buying the house. My girlfriend left, and she remained very good friends with my husband, as her husband was also friends with my husband. And then
It was a while
it was
before.
a little while later, my husband passed away, and we had done things with them as a couple, and
A few times,
a few
yeah.
times, and still I was like, yeah, she's just not going to be my friend, you know.
She
it's
did not
gonna
like
happen.
me.
It's not going to happen, and I think she can fairly say I was a bitch. I was a bitch to her, I think, at the time. And,
She wasn't nice at all.
I wasn't nice. I wasn't opening myself up to her at all.
Mm-hmm.
And then we went away with them they invited us to come and see them when we had little kids, and we went to see them at their house in North Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
And we had a fantastic time, and all of a sudden I'm like, yeah, actually, she's really fun. She's actually really fun. She's really nice.
Yeah.
And then shortly after that, my husband passed away, and who stepped up to be a fantastic friend for me was her. And I would have thought it would have been 100 other people that would have come first, and she ended up being the strongest, most supportive person in that situation.
We're gonna all cry tonight.
Yeah.
But okay, so
And I never gave her a chance until that short time before my husband died, just because of my own insecurities. I was like, well, she's perfect, and I'm not perfect, so I definitely can't be friends with her. And, you know, and of course, nobody's perfect. I wasn't perfect. She wasn't perfect. And once we got to know each other, we loved each other's imperfections anyway. So,
we did, for
yeah.
sure. But part of that story that I love, Tony's first impression, and Karen's too, but Karen, she had a quick judgment, as I did with her, because she wasn't overly friendly with me when I first met her that time, and I didn't know anybody there really, and they all knew each other, but Jerry and I, we were the ones coming into their world, and I remember looking at her going, she's walking around like she knows that she's the shit, and then I was like, I didn't like her, because I was like, God, she's not very nice.
I wasn't nice.
I was like, she's not very nice, and then the point being that we both had judgments on each other, and if we would have let that stand, if we would have never given each other another chance after that, we wouldn't have in the friendship that we have today, which is one of the best friendships that I've ever had. And these two have never met until today.
Yeah.
And it's crazy because I talk about both of them with each other, and they've both been through hell with me, as most of y'all know.
And I know everything, but the funny thing is I know everything about her, and she vice versa.
Yeah. So I share all this with you because I want to really talk about, we're going to talk about their lives in a second, but I want you guys to take a second and write down Gail saying something. Oh, Heather was truly amazing when Karen's husband died. Thanks, Gail. We're going to all cry in a second. I want you to take this is going to be hard to do, but I want you to write down a list of maybe your 5 people that you hang around the most. Because Karen and I have talked about this a lot too, because we've had people come in and out of our lives. We've had the same friends, and it's always interesting to us to really think about how, we're constantly disappointed by people. I don't want to say constantly, but we're kind of, now we kind of laugh at it. But I want you to write down your 5 people that you're around the most, not your 5 best friends, the 5 people that you talk to. They don't have to live in your area, but you talk to them on a regular basis. And I want you to write next to their names, is this person a positive influence? Are they a negative influence? Or not influence, are they a positive person or a negative person? Do they lift me up or do they wear me out? So I want you to write these 5 people down that you're with the most, and I want you to write positive person, negative, positive, negative, lift me up, wear me out. Because some people exhaust you on a regular basis. And listen, it's hard to kind of start to remove people from your life. It's not an easy thing to do. You guys, it's absolutely important that you do that for you to live your best life. And I'm not saying become, hate them and be rude to them. That's not what I'm saying at all. But surround yourself with people that make you better, that speak truth into you, that are there for you good and bad. We've all 3 of us, like many of you, have been through hell. And you need someone that's there for you, but not just that feeds you with a bunch of crap, but that actually asks you and tells you and speaks truth into you and asks you the hard questions, but that also that you trust. You have to trust these friends that you rely on. So you need to take an audit of the people in your life. All right, so a couple of things. I want to, off the friendship topic, the other part of doing this tonight is for those of y'all that, a lot of y'all have heard my story, and what I hear mostly is the hope that it gives you. And I want you to know, we all go through really, really hard times. And both of these guys too. Karen lost her husband 13 years ago, 12 years ago, and to a plane accident. Well, not accident at all, was it? It wasn't really an accident.
Crash? Yeah, it was a
plane crash. It was a Delta airline in Kentucky.
Yes.
And it ran off the wrong runway, and her kids were 4 and 6. And I actually mentioned her husband and my husband at the time were very, very, really, really very good friends, probably almost best friends. And I can remember it like it was yesterday. And here Karen was left. Her husband died instantly. 2 little kids. She was at that time a stay-at-home mom, I believe, right? She had left. She had worked for years. And just, Karen, talk to them about, obviously that was devastating. I remember you sitting on the floor of the kitchen just like, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? What am I going to do? But look at you now and look at your kids now and just kind of talk about, obviously it sucked and it was hell for a while, but talk about where you found your inner strength, how you got through that. And obviously you experienced fear, some probably sense of abandonment to some, and not that it was by choice, but I know that you were scared out of your mind because you were, Charlie, a lot of dads, but Charlie was an exceptional father. He picked up the kids from school. He cooked dinner. And I mean, he was a very involved, present dad. So losing any father sucks. But he was, I loved Charlie. He was like, I loved him. He was very present and active in those kids' life. So just kind of talk through that, how it felt. I mean, I want you to kind of let them feel and hear your, how your vulnerability at that moment. But now where you are.
Okay, so when he died, it was sudden, obviously, and it wasn't expected, and my kids were very little, and I was then, at the time, obviously, as a stay-at-home mom, you're kind of isolated from anybody else but stay-at-home mothers, usually.
Yeah.
And sadly to say, I had no inclination of our mortgage, our bills. I had nothing. I knew nothing.
Because Charlie handled
he
all
handled
of that.
everything. So that was thrown on me. Then my kids were, obviously the kids were thrown on me.
Because they lost their
And
father.
they lost their father, and he was very helpful. He was one of those husbands that cooked and picked the kids up from school, and he was really into the children, and I was kind of spoiled at the time with that. And then all of a sudden I'm on my own completely. I don't know the finances. I have the kids, and I was not prepared to do that, which nobody would be, obviously. And I was a wreck. I mean, I was literally a wreck. It took a very long time for me. Luckily, I had wonderful parents, wonderful friends that helped out. But I mean, basically, you're a wreck, and things fall apart. And
But she says that, and
I was a wreck.
But every day she got up.
Oh, sure.
Every day she took care of her kids. Every day she made a decision to do what she needed to do. And inside, obviously, there was a ton of fear and a lot of unknowns, and she was grieving.
And I messed up a lot. The thing is, I messed up a lot. There were so many times when I messed up. The whole day I messed up. Like, I couldn't do it. I couldn't take care of the kids. I messed up. The thing is, I think, a lot of people go and say, oh, well, look how strong you were, and look how great you did, and yes, I did. Oh, great, my kids are great. I fucked those kids up royally in the beginning because I was a wreck. And I think that I don't know that I messed them up, but
no, because they're great.
They're great kids, but I made so many mistakes, and I was so weak in many moments. But the thing is, I think I could admit it, and I think I would say to my friends, I would call a friend and say, I can't do it. You got to come and take my kids, and she would come and take my kids, and my parents would come and take my kids.
Because you let them.
Yes,
you asked for help.
You have to ask for help. You do. You have to ask for help in a situation like that.
So what would you say, like, maybe the one thing was that really helped you with your children through that? Because yes, we all mess up. Certainly that was a very vulnerable time for you. Yeah. Her son's at Penn State right now, freshman in college. Her daughter is Wade's age, so she's a junior in high school, and straight A girl, great athlete, great girl, great character, great work ethic. What would you say obviously they lost their father. They went through a very traumatic experience. So what would you say, like, one thing that got you through that time, got your kids through that time? If there was like one or two things you could say that you would really attribute to who they are today and how they got through that, and how they're not just, the family is incredibly close. They're very open with their mother, with Karen. They talk very openly with her. What would you say really helped you through that time, attributed to the kids and who they are today?
I would say that I was real with them, and I didn't pretend like it wasn't happening. And when I was having a really hard time, even at a very young age, I would sit them down and say, I can't do this, and I'm not going to be able to handle this, so I'm calling your grandmother, or I'm calling Miss Heather's going to take you, or this is what's going on, and this is, and I think that we were an open book in my house. Like, I wasn't trying to be perfect, and I wasn't trying to make sure they had a great dinner. I mean, they just lived it through. I think they lived it with me through it, and so they were part of it, and which also worked in the way that they knew they couldn't fail because we had to get through it together, which is why they're, you know, they knew I couldn't handle anymore. Honestly, I think my kids turned out well because they knew I couldn't handle them not turning out well. So they worked just as hard as I did to get through it.
Yeah,
That's what I think.
from an outsider in, I feel like when I witnessed this, their communication, the way Karen talked to them, it wasn't overly dramatic. She wasn't like falling off the edge, but she was very honest. I'm having a really hard time right now. You miss your dad. I miss your dad. There's a lot of unknowns right now.
Yeah.
You know, Miss Heather's going to take you. You know, Miss Dina's going to take you, and you're going to go play with them because Mom needs a minute. You know, so it wasn't like I can't get out of bed. Oh my God, life is.
Yeah.
It wasn't that. It was like honest, direct. I'm struggling. And I think the honesty, and you know, I felt the same thing with my kids with what I went through, is a little bit different. But it's like, look, this is what it is. I'm trying to figure it out. I don't know. I don't know what's going on. I'm gonna try to figure it out. So hang tight, be with me, give me a minute. But I think a lot of times we try to shelter our children.
I think a lot of people try to make like, oh, everything's gonna be okay. You know, you don't need to worry about this. You don't need to hear about this. And I mean, I just am not made that way. So that's not what, that wasn't our experience. I just let them know what they had to know, but I also didn't let them think of drama that was not necessary. We're not victims, and we aren't victims. We weren't, and I always made them say, you don't give me.
That's not your story.
That's not your story. This isn't your story. You don't give me, you did this because of what happened to us. People have gone through the Holocaust, for Christ's sake, and have come through. I mean, you know, you can make it. You can make it. So, yeah.
Doesn't mean it doesn't hurt.
It doesn't mean it doesn't hurt, but yeah.
One of the things that when I was going through this with Wade, or with both of them, but Wade was older, obviously, and there was a time when I can't remember what it was, but there was something. He's like, it came up, and he knew something was wrong, and I said, you know, Wade, I gotta tell you, or he said, Mom, just tell me. That's what it was. He's like, Mom, just tell me. And I was struggling because of what our situation was and how much I share with him. And when I told him this one particular part of what was going on, he was like, oh my God, I thought it was so much worse than that. When we don't, we have to find that line between, so those of y'all that are mothers, or even have close relationships, sometimes we think we're helping and protecting, when really in our spouse's mind, in our children's mind, it's so much worse in their heads. Think about when you were a child. I know for me with my mom, I thought something was so terrible, and she never told me. But with Wade, when I finally said what it was, he's like, oh my God, thank you, Mom. I thought it was so much worse. So you just be careful of that. You have to find that line between being honest with your children, with people that are close to you, and don't always think saying nothing, protecting them is the best option, because it oftentimes is not.
I would think. I mean, I would think that.
From our experience.
And I think in the generation of when my parents raised me, it was the kids don't need to know anything. The whole world could be falling apart, and we're not going to tell the kids what's happening. And I don't think I took that approach, only because I was so shell-shocked. I didn't know what else to do. So I don't know if it was right or wrong, but thank God my kids are.
They're amazing.
They're very well adjusted, and probably my kids are more streetwise. I don't know, streetwise or emotionally, they can cope with things that a lot of kids their age cannot cope with.
For sure.
They've had to.
Yeah, but they had a good example too in you. Tony, who's so excited to be here.
Hi.
Has known me for 30 years, you guys, as you heard. But, listen, we all have our stories. And obviously, you guys know I was divorced, and I'm getting married Friday. Did y'all know I'm getting married Friday?
Yay! That's why we're here.
Yeah. So, Tony was the first one of us to get married. There's 5 of us that were met in college, and we still, to this day, get together every year. But Tony was the first of us, right?
I think Lori.
Lori, and then you?
I think Lori went first, didn't you?
And then Tony. And how many years were you married?
10-ish.
Were you married 10 years?
I was married officially 10. I was separated for maybe 2 or 3 years.
And went through a really bad
Yeah.
divorce.
Is
Not
there a good divorce?
yeah, there's not probably a good divorce, but
I
what
don't think so.
what happened to her
Probably.
marriage was not something that she controlled. Let me just say that. I don't want to go too much in detail, but and she was after her divorce, she moved to Italy for 3 years. So I want to talk about this because she might. I don't know how she'll. I do know how she'll say, but you guys, she got divorced. She was like, it was bad. It was a really, really rough time, if I can say that. She was brokenhearted and went through a lot of different emotions at that time. And she was like, Heather, I'm moving to Italy. Because she had done a study abroad in college in Italy. And so she moved to Italy. She just left all of her stuff and took off and lived in what part of Italy? Moved there for 3 years. Tell them about your experience in Italy and why did you do that?
I did that because,
I mean, be honest too. Like
yeah, well, divorce is tough. It's like a death. It's
You're
sad.
grieving. You're
Worse,
grieving.
sometimes worse than a death.
Yeah, because
Sometimes worse than
yeah,
worse than a
'cause no
death.
one really-
Yeah. Nobody really sympathizes with you as much as they do when
No, it
someone
is, yeah.
dies. That's
It's
true.
different.
and there's shame
Yeah.
attached in it.
Yeah, I agree.
It's
No,
a
I totally agree.
failure. It's
Yeah,
so,
that's
I agree with that.
shame
I have to say.
is yeah.
No.
So
Shame,
many
you
people
feel-
rushed out to help me because my husband died, and then I watched people who were getting divorced, and nobody rushed to help. And the hurt is this.
You said that to me when you were
I
like,
said that to you. Yeah, I did.
one day she said to me, "What you're going through," and it wasn't a comparison. But she's
no,
like,
it's not a comparison.
she was like, "It's harder than
yeah.
because there was so much more aftermath.
There's so much support in my situation, and then when people get divorced,
There's a separation
people don't rush to support you because they think that you don't. I think they think you don't need the support. I got so much support
I'm
that's
glad you
totally
did.
different.
Yeah.
Like you have lost just as much as I had lost, sometimes worse because there's betrayal and anger and things like that, and nobody rushes to support you except for maybe 1 or 2 people. I got people crawling out of the woodwork to support me.
Right, and they
So
should.
it does make you feel like, oh, I have this whole world of support, whereas I think people who go through a divorce don't feel the
And
same.
yours, not that it has an ending, but when you lose someone, because I've obviously,
Yeah.
you guys know, I mean, the grieving is forever. Like you don't ever, but there's an end. I mean,
Yes.
my mother died, it was over, and now I had the grieving. When there's a divorce, especially if there's children, but even when there's not just divorce, you have the emotion of what did I do wrong, failure, shame, regret, and then for a long time you can't
Gone.
like leave it. It's not like it's gone and I'm done.
This is how I explain it to people, and I don't know if this is true or not, but I say when I the comparison is rip the Band-Aid off, watch the healing. Divorce, rip the Band-Aid off, put it back on, rip it off, put it back on, rip it off, put it on. Oh, and put it back on, rip it off, rip it off.
That's a great analogy.
Totally different. I think that when somebody dies, like in my situation, I rip the Band-Aid off, let's start the healing for everybody.
Yeah.
Divorce, you just keep ripping it.
Or it's
ripping
like
it. Yeah, or you rip it off really slow and it's brutal, I think.
Yeah, no, I that's a great analogy. So Tony got divorced and she moved. So back to why you moved to Italy.
Okay, but before I just want to comment on what you guys are saying. There's something attached to divorce as well that, Karen, you didn't do anything and you lost your husband.
Right.
In every marriage, there's
Right.
fault on both sides. Nobody's perfect. So in a divorce, you do feel no matter the circumstances. Well, I'm the kind of person that no matter the circumstances, I still felt somewhat responsible.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You can't in any way feel responsible for what happened.
Right.
With Charlie.
Right, exactly. I
So
agree.
that there's something there. I don't know.
Yeah, that's
There's
true.
some baggage there.
Yeah,
Right. I mean, I'll own up to that.
especially as women. Speak closer. Especially as women, we take that on, right? We're guilt. But so why did you go to Italy?
I went to Italy because I needed to figure out what was going to bring me back to the surface. I felt like I was drowning. And I felt I was actually in an avalanche, and I didn't know when it was going to stop. And so I needed to search and find something that I wanted to do for me, because I didn't have children, so I could be selfish about it all. So I needed to find something that I wanted and pursue it.
Can I ask you a hard question?
Yeah.
She loves
I
hard
love
questions.
hard questions.
But I don't know if I know the answer to this. Was there any sense of running?
Oh God, yes. That's an easy question.
That is an easy
Oh, I ran far.
When in doubt, run away.
And,
Yeah.
and when you ran and when you got there, did you really get away from it?
Oh, it now is still here, still there. I come from a really small town, and it's funny. Nobody's thinking about my divorce, I can assure you. But I'm thinking they're thinking about my divorce, and they're not.
Yeah.
You know?
Did you hear that?
That is true.
That's what I want you to get from that. We think the narrative in our head is rarely reality. The narrative in our head is rarely reality. So, you know, and I mean, I think your run in Italy was probably one of the best things you did in your life. Not because you ran, but what happened because you went there. But, you know, we think that things are a lot worse than they are. She thought everyone's going to be talking about her divorce, and they weren't. You know, so I'm not, you know, the moral of the story, the lesson I'm trying to say here is not that you shouldn't make a decision to go to Italy, but that we have to control the narrative, what we say to ourselves.
Yeah, it's really
it's
important.
rarely what we think it is. So go ahead. So then she left Italy to talk about your experience in Italy, because I was jealous.
But to that point, I think it's Eleanor Roosevelt. There's a quote, and I'm going to get it wrong, but I'll try to get it close. She said something like, "You wouldn't worry so much about what people think of you if you realize how little they do.
Yeah, I love that. I've heard that before. I love
Yeah.
that.
That's so true.
They're not thinking about you."
They could care less what's going on with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, what was your question?
Italy.
Except for me, I care what's going on with you.
Karen.
And we just
They're,
met.
they're like
we
best
just met
friends.
today.
So in Italy, I mean, listen, she had so many life experiences in Italy, and one thing I wanted to come out here in her story is that even though she said, you know, she was running, if you will. Thanks for all the hearts, you guys. I'm sure that's for sweet Tony. But she stepped out of her comfort zone. And by the way, Tony is from, I guess you grew up in Delaware,
Maryland.
Maryland.
Same thing, really.
Yeah, that's why I was confused. But she went to school at Florida State, so she went way far away from home. Didn't know anybody at Florida State. That was her first step out in being uncomfortable, you guys. She got uncomfortable, and it changed her life. And then, even though she was running, if you will, she didn't run to the next town. She didn't run to the next state. She went to Italy. So, again, even though, for whatever reason, took her there, that was a huge step
By
of
herself,
faith.
right?
By herself. By herself.
Oh, yeah, by myself.
So you guys know I always preach about being uncomfortable. You grow the most when you put yourself in uncomfortable situations. So was that one of the biggest times of your life that you grew personally?
Undoubtedly. Sure.
And talk about why.
I was a stranger in a strange land. I didn't know anyone. I didn't speak a common language. So
What was the first thing you did? So you get there, then what?
Yeah, I want to hear that story.
enrolled. I had a plan, which is rare for me. I will tell you, I don't plan much at all.
It is, yeah.
But I did have a plan. I was going to attend a university that taught the Italian language and culture to foreigners, and that was my whole plan. I was going to enroll in the university. So I landed. I set up my apartment, and
How'd you find an apartment?
I had a friend who lived in this town years prior, Dee Dee.
Yeah.
So she was
Not
one
you,
of
Dee
our,
Dee, another Dee Dee.
She was one of our friends from college. Dee Dee wasn't born yet.
Yeah,
probably not.
She wasn't.
Yeah.
So she had lived in the town, and she had attended the university. So I had known that, and it was still a goal of mine at that time to become bilingual. I've always wanted to be bilingual. So it just seemed like the perfect opportunity to.
But I remember a very distinct conversation with Tony. I don't know how long you'd been there, but we were talking on the phone, and she was like, "I don't have any friends. I'm starting to." You remember this conversation? She's like, I feel alone.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go
It
ahead.
was lonely.
She's like, I'm gonna start running because I feel very. Do you remember this?
I remember starting to run.
She was like, I'm very lonely, and I just gotta be active. And she goes, you know what? I'm gonna go look for a job in a restaurant. I'm gonna go try to find a job. Something along these lines. I'm paraphrasing, at a restaurant. Do you remember that? And you're like,
Didn't sound like me at all.
you're like, I'm gonna go. I need to go. I need to get. She said, I need to get out with the people. I know the best way to learn the language and the best way to make friends and socialize is to go get in it. And you guys don't know her, but that's so opposite. I mean, she was the one in the laundry room when we were freshmen in college that ran from me. You know, that's not her nature, but she was like, I know, even though I don't want to, I know that for me to socialize, to find friends, to learn the language, I've got to immerse myself in it. Do you remember that?
I don't specifically, but all of it makes sense. That
So
would
she
happen.
went and got a job at a small little Italian restaurant where you were living, which is where your life kind of changed. But why I'm saying that is it was not in her comfort zone. That is so opposite of her comfort zone. But she said, I know what I have to do or I can just stay in the state. I can stay lonely and depressed, go to class, come back and be. And she was like, I'm in Italy. This is not what I want to do. I want to learn the language. I know I have to immerse myself. I want to make friends. I want to live this life. I've got to be in the culture, in it. And so against everything inside of her that wanted to do that, she did it anyway, right? So you don't have to always feel like you want to do it. You have to just do it. And then what?
I don't know, but what that brings to mind now is that sounds courageous. Maybe I did that, but why am I not doing that now in my life? You know, it's sort of like in that time in my life, I knew I was so isolated that I needed
To do something.
Yes.
big.
It was actually the first time I can remember needing physical touch, just this, because when you're a stranger in a strange land, people don't touch you. You know, my brother, you know, anyone, my friend, but I had none of that there. Nobody had physically touched me. It was a terrible feeling, but anyway, so I don't know.
And you were also feeling the betrayal, the abandonment of your divorce and all that at the same time.
Yeah, you were very brave to do that. I think that's very brave.
But like with me, and I know with you, it wasn't like, I'm going to be brave and go out and do this. It wasn't like that kind of decision. Even with you, I'm not going to be brave and go out and figure out, you know. But what did we all do? We took a step. We did one thing. We did something. Instead of, like people said to Taryn, people said to me, you're so strong. When all that happened with my ex-husband and we lost and my sister and they were both there, I mean, when my sister died. And people go, oh, Heather, you're so strong. I'm like, I mean, both of us always say, do we have a choice?
I don't even know what you're talking about.
But we do have, someone said to me, Heather, you did have a choice. You could have stayed in bed.
Yeah.
But what we did, and I was like she was, I had no idea how I was going to make money, how I was going to support my kids, where I was going to live. I mean, nothing. But what I did was just took one step, one action, one decision, one at a time. So you just have to make a decision to do something, even if you don't know what that is to do. Instead of staying frozen and paralyzed. That makes sense?
I have another quote. Do you want to hear it?
Yeah,
Let's
we
hear
love
it.
quotes.
Yeah, and I'm not sure who this is. Obviously, it's a baseball player. I think maybe Mike Piazza. Is that someone?
Oh, yeah. I don't know.
So he has. I think it's him. I don't know. Someone out there
Hey,
tell
Joe.
us. He says, or some baseball player sometimes said, you have to take your foot off of first to steal second.
Oh, I
So you
like
have
that.
to like leave the safety of first if you're ever gonna.
Or you're going to stay on 1st until you're out.
So like get uncomfortable, take your foot off of the bag. Otherwise, you're never gonna steal second.
And you've done that. I don't know if you've done it consciously since I've known you.
I don't know. Are you talking about me?
See,
I
you don't
really
see,
don't-
that's the thing. You don't. That's what's important about friendships. I think you don't see yourself the way other people see you. Like when you say to me, "Oh, Karen was so brave," and she did. I look back at when I was back there and think what a mess I was. But yet other people will say, "Oh, you were so brave. You did such a great job raising your kids," and I'm thinking, I don't think I did that on purpose at all. I don't. So it's nice to be. Or it's nice. It's important to be around people who
Bring it to your attention.
bring it to your attention. Also, but also if you were falling off of that ladder, like I know that when you were going, I didn't know you then, but when you were going through your thing with what you were going through, and I'm hoping that the same. And I have some friends out there that I can say that would do the same. If you were falling off that tightrope and totally screwing things up, I think the important thing is that if you really were screwing up, that I would
Yeah.
take a switch to your ass, like
Yeah.
my mother-in-law used to say, I'll take a switch to your ass and say, okay, I'm gonna have to pull you in here because
Yeah.
you're screwing up, or you need to do, like I think it's important to surround yourself around people who truly care about what the end result is for you.
And we'll tell you
Instead
even when it's not what
of-
you want to hear.
Instead of
Yeah.
telling you what you want to hear.
I think that's brave for a
Yeah.
friend to do that.
That is brave.
I'm not great at that, but
Yes, you are.
I also think that on the flip side of that, I wish I had been better about listening to my good friend's advice, taking good friend's advice. They care about you, they know you the best, and sometimes we really don't listen to, I don't know.
Because we don't want to.
Right, and here's your really good friend who knows you better than anyone and wants the best for you, and yet you're not taking, and you even have asked for it sometimes.
Do you feel like you have gone to that place where somebody has told you something and you think,
When I was
now
younger,
I look back and I think I should have listened to that advice?
when I was younger, I think a lot of this is age and experience. Hopefully, I'm benefiting from both of those, but when I was younger, of course, I should have taken a lot of my good friend's advice.
Yeah, but listen, we had to have trust first, which you have to earn before you can give someone really hard advice. And trust comes from doing what you're going to say you're going to do. I
True.
think that's the biggest thing. Doing what you're saying you're going to do. Being honest, being real, being vulnerable. Because Karen, if Karen and I didn't have a great relationship, or Tony and I didn't, and they gave me hard feedback, I'd be like, screw you, whatever. But because we have this relationship that we've earned each other's respect. I think respecting your marriage, you guys, respecting your friendship. Without respect, there is no relationship. Hear me loud and clear. If you're in a marriage without respect, do something about it. Get to therapy, get help, because you have to respect each other to have trust, to be able to speak truth. But Karen and Tony do not tell me what I want to hear. They tell me what I need to hear, over and over and over again. And I think I do the same. And it hasn't always been easy. I haven't always heard what I want to hear, but I know when I call them, they're going to listen first, and they're going to tell me what I need to hear. So I really want, that quote, I always forget who said it, but you are the average of the 5 people you hang around.
Oh, I never heard that before.
Yeah, it's true. If you listen to a lot of speakers, especially CEOs and that are very successful, they say it truly is. Think about who you're around. If you're around negative people, you're going to be negative. If you're around people that don't have the same vision and same goals, there's a likelihood you'll never meet your goals or your vision. You have to surround people that make you better. Tony and Karen and Danielle and Dee Dee and many other people in my life make me better. And when everything happened in my life, and you may have had some different, but you too with your divorce, when that shit happened, when Jerry went to prison, when we lost all our money, listen, we were the shit in Naples. Karen lived in Naples. I say that loosely, but Jerry had a very successful bank. Everyone knew who he was. When that happened, friends fell off. A lot of friends were lost, and a lot of them needed to be lost, honestly. They weren't healthy in my life. But some that were my very great, really, really great friends, I lost during that time. And now I know it was the best thing, and it was the right thing, and God was just weeding people out of my life. And now, from a couple years after that, I'm very intentional about who I let in my life. Very intentional, and I have great friends. If you're a part of my world, it's because I trust you. You trust me. And through your stuff too, we talk about this all the time. I was the biggest people pleaser out there, and I still am to some extent, but nothing like I was. People that aren't serving me, and I don't mean that because you went through a hard time. They're negative. They're condescending. They're selfish. They're not. They're not going to be in my life. We talk about that a lot, right, Karen?
We do talk about that a lot. There were a lot of people that, again, when my crisis happened, I thought certain people were going to be there for me, and they not that they weren't there for me, but people that I didn't expect, Heather being one of them, were over and above what you would expect. So that's when you have like the realization that friends are fair weather friends. I mean, that's an old time saying, right? So, and when Heather went through her thing, I was friends with her before that happened, and as it happened, and I watched friends that I thought were really good friends to her. As soon as the shit hit the fan,
The money was gone.
and the money was gone, she, all of a sudden, they were just scattering like cockroaches, and I thought to myself, I always thought I knew I always thought that, like, as I was standing as, because I was always kind of a quasi outsider of that very wealthy
You were, yeah.
group that Heather hung out with. On the surface, very lovely people. On the surface, but I always felt like, yeah, you know, maybe I'm definitely on the outside. When the shit hit the fan and they scattered like nothing I've ever seen before, that you see in movies. Like, it's the thing that you see in movies. Like, oh, this is my best friend today, and we're at the ball together. But tomorrow, when all the shit goes down, they won't even look your way. And you don't think it really happens? It
did.
really happened. And I was like, oh my God. And I watched it from the outsider looking in going, oh my God, those people are not standing by her side because, and it was foreign to me because
I had nothing to offer them anymore.
she had nothing to offer her, and that's not how I ever picked my friendships, because of what somebody could offer me. But I come from a whole different place, obviously, and I just remember watching it thinking, oh my God, it must be breaking her heart watching this happen. Like, you know, I wasn't involved in it. I wasn't involved directly, but I watched people break her heart over and over and over again that year. And I just remember thinking, I mean, some of them even surprised me.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, they're not going to, it is amazing.
Did
It's
you
truly
expect
amazing.
any of it from any of them?
It was
Did you
amazing.
have some expectation that
It
that's
wasn't
what they wanted from
anything
you?
that I think I consciously thought about, you know. I mean, I've always had a great intuition for the character of people. I didn't always trust it, but I mean, even then, I knew. Like,
Yeah.
couple of them surprised me.
Yeah, a couple surprised me too, yeah.
But I've learned it through the years to trust in Dee Dee and Danielle and some of the people on the live right now. I'll tell you, that's my gift. But I never trusted it more than I do now. Like, I can read someone pretty quickly.
Yes.
And listen, I try to be real. I try to give it a moment. I don't want to be the quick judge in the first impression. But I usually can read someone pretty quickly. And I hope that I'm wrong sometimes. But it was interesting when that happened. When life happens like that. How you see people's true colors and you see really what happens. Sorry, my battery's going dead. But the lesson in that is audit your friends. Surround yourself with people that make you better. Good times and bad. That believe in you, lift you up, that you trust. You know, people that are different. Not always just like you either. You don't have to always be around people that like you. I mean, I like people that are different from me, but that still have the same heart and soul as me. I mean, Danielle, you're very different from me, but our trust for each other, our loyalty for each other, you always have my back. I have your back, but you also will speak truth into me. I mean, when I want to know, and I want someone to tell me the truth and tell me what it is, I'm going to call one of those. I'm going to call Dee Dee, Danielle, Karen, Tony, and say, tell me, I want to hear the truth. But that's because there's already a relationship there and a trust that's built. But if you could say, Karen, like, give me like one of your best lessons in life, whether, you know, maybe it's around friendships, maybe it's just about, let's talk about maybe just life, and then maybe about friendships, and you too. So either one of you can go first, but if there's one thing that you're like, I wish I would have, how about this? I wish I would have known this 15, 20 years ago. What would it be?
Okay, so I have a couple girlfriends from college as well that I've remained friends with for 30 years, and we say this all the time. And I don't know if this is one of the biggest lessons in my life, but one thing that we do say to each other, Gail's, I don't know if she's watching, so on there, another one of my friends, Carlene, and you guys probably feel this too, and And as you get older, some of your watchers,
Yeah,
viewers
we have
are
different
kind of
ages.
younger. But as you get older, you'll realize there are friends that you keep here, and that is going to be 1, 2, 3, maybe if you're lucky, right? Then there's people you keep here, which are a different
Wider.
kind of friends,
Oh.
and then there's people you keep here, right? I think there are only very few people in your life that you can really say and confide in all of your deepest thoughts
Vulnerabilities.
and vulnerabilities without judgment. And if you find them, keep them
And nurture them.
and nurture them and be that same person for them. And I've been lucky. I have to say, I've been lucky. I have a couple older friends that I've known since I was in college, and you that I met along the way. And there are people that'll come in and out of your life that serve a purpose for a short time,
Yeah.
and then they're gone. It doesn't mean that they betrayed you or anything, but they'll be gone, right? But if you could grab a few friends, and my dad did tell me that a long time ago. Hey, if you grab a few friends along your life that are really there for you,
Yeah.
that's it.
So here's my first of all, Joey, will you come plug me in, honey?
Oh boy.
Hi, honey. Plug in my phone. The takeaway from that was what I had to learn, and I still struggle with this. Even to today, something happened that I talked about with the girls. The lesson in that is when friends come in and out of your life, don't always take that personally, because it's not always, probably mostly not about you. What is something that you did? So know that people are going to come in and out of your lives. And I know for me, when that happened, one of the first times, I was like, oh my God, what did I do? Why did I make them upset?
Yeah.
Why did I piss them off? How did I hurt them? I disappointed them. I didn't, and I was like, everything was on me. What did I do? When that was just what was meant to happen, right? Right? So
Yeah.
don't take everything personally. It's not always about you. And I remember my therapist saying one time, when I was trying to forget, when my mom died and I was grieving and dealing with some guilt, and I was like, I was talking about why I was angry with my mother and she was gone. And I remember my therapist saying to me, forgive your mother. Why are you being so arrogant? Forgive your mother. You don't have any idea what kind of life she had. And I was like, holy shit. Like, oh my God, it's not just about how she hurt me. What about the life she had? There was a sense of forgiveness and that grace. Don't just talk about grace, give grace. What about you?
What about me?
What's your thing? What is your
If
advice?
you could give advice to yourself 25, 30 years ago, what advice would you give that person? In life, with friends.
This is a simple one for me. I would have to tell myself to take more risks because I'm not a risk taker.
Get uncomfortable. Get uncomfortable.
uncomfortable.
We grow when we're uncomfortable, right? And what have you learned? Real quick before we have to go, I know we've been on here a long time, you guys.
Yeah.
Karen has a 17-year-old daughter, and she's Wade's age. So obviously you've seen her deal with friendships. So talk about how have you advised her, or because of the experience you have with friendships and what you've gone through and what you've seen, how have you seen it played out in her life? What advice have you given her about the reality of friendships and what to expect and how to cultivate those? What have you seen in her life as a 17-year-old?
So as a girl, 17-year-old girl, I watch things happen in her life. Friends do little betrayals. I mean, back when you're 17, there's in the realm of life, they're small betrayals, but they are. And she'll say, I can't believe she did that, or I can't believe that, or I can't believe she did this, and I'll say the same exact thing. Ashley, grab the ones that you know are loyal, which is going to be very few and far between, because a lot of people are their own agenda.
Yeah.
A lot of people grow up learning how to only serve their own agenda, and they aren't taught to nurture other people.
And that comes from
And
insecurity.
it comes a lot from
What they
insecurity.
learned.
It comes from a lot what they learned. And so I always say to her, they're not. This is our famous words in my house. They're not our kind of people. Because our kind of people, we grab you, we hold you, we hug you, we protect you. We're very loyal, and you're not going to find a bunch of those people. So,
And that's okay.
And now, as she's getting older and my son's getting older, I'll talk about somebody, or I'll say, hey, how's so-and-so doing, or what happened there, or whatever. And it's funny, it bounces back at me, and Ashley will go, they're not our kind of people, Mom. You know what I'm talking about. And they, you know, so I think that I just say the same thing. You're going to find a few people that you should grab on and hang on for the rest of your life, and then the rest of them, if they don't take it personally when people hurt you. They don't.
It's rarely
They don't know
personally.
what they're. It's not about you. It's about them. It's
What's
not
that
about
quote you said a minute ago?
Yeah.
I let Eleanor rest.
Yeah.
What was that again? It pertains here too.
It is, you wouldn't care so much about what people, you wouldn't think about so much what people think of you if you realized how little they do.
Yeah. How little they think of you.
Yeah.
And we've got to learn to stop caring.
Yeah.
Because if we don't, I mean, I care what Karen thinks. I care what Tony thinks. But these people that we don't know, why do we care? Look at, that's Bonnie Phillips, Karen. Look at you awesome ladies. Love this. Hi, Bonnie. You guys, so I guess, you know, what do we all really want? What do you, especially women, I think my audience is mostly, or our audience is mostly women. What do we really want? We're made for community. We're made for connection. So look at who's around you. Take an audit of it, you guys. Don't be afraid to eliminate the people that are bringing you down, that are keeping you from living the life you want, and seek out intentionally. Let me just say real quick before we go. Danielle, y'all know Danielle. I met Danielle because I decided in the midst of my mess, I was like, I need support. I wanted so badly to have women locally. I moved to Nashville, didn't know anybody besides my brother was here and my sister-in-law. But I was like, I need women around me. I need help. I don't know what to do. I need support. So I said, okay, I'll host a Bible study with the selfish motivation to hopefully women would come that I could say, help me out. What do I do? But what happened was God brought me a bunch of young little girls that were 22, 23, 24. And I was, 40, 39, 40. Danielle was one of them. And what he taught me, what God was bringing to me was, and I didn't mean to, but all of a sudden I became this mother mentor to these women, to these girls that wanted advice and wanted help and wanted love. They wanted love. They wanted attention. And Danielle came to my group, and our friendship started, and we've grown so much together. I think I've definitely helped her so much in her life. I know she's helped me. She lost her brother. I had lost my mom and my sister. There were so many parallels. But my point being that I've never, you know what I thought when I started going to church, I had just found my faith, and the pastor was asking for people to host a Bible study. Do you know what I thought? I can't host a Bible study. I don't even know the Bible. I'm like, I don't even know Scripture. I am brand new to this thing. How could I possibly get up there and embarrass myself when we have to pray? I don't even know how to pray. So I almost didn't do it because I'm like, who am I to host this? I am such an infant in my faith. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to do it. I took a step, and I was very uncomfortable. Took a step in fear, and I said, I'm just going to do it. And I had a selfish motivation, you guys. I wanted women to come help me. And look what happened. I met these incredible girls. I met Danielle. From that, I learned that I was telling Stacy Mullen this. She's on here right now. I said, she said, when did you know what you wanted to do with your life? When did you know what your passion was? And I said, I always knew that I loved people, but I was like, all right, what do I do with that? But when I hosted that Bible study, when God brought me these young girls, when I started mentoring and coaching them by accident, I thought, this is what I want to do. I want to change people's lives. And I didn't have any education, but I had a life of experience and wisdom from what I experienced. And then I was like, I'm going to go seek out that. That's what I'm supposed to do. I'm supposed to help women feel value and feel love and feel worthiness. We all want to feel connection and community. And that's what I have with, we were crying a little bit earlier because we've all been through a lot, but they were like generally watching me find the love of my life and finally being happy after going through hell.
Yeah.
Going through hell. And she has a wonderful man now. She's got a beautiful family. We're all on our journey, right?
Yes.
And we're never going to not be on a journey. But audit your friendships, audit your life. Remove the things that you can. Get rid of those people that are holding you back, you guys. Take that step to live your best life. You deserve it. We deserve it. I love you guys. Anything else you want to say? I'm so happy they're here with me in this wonderful...
Congratulations, Heather, for her wedding
And
coming up
Joey.
on Friday.
Thanks for being on. This is
And
so
Joey, too.
long.
And
We
Joey
could
as
keep
well.
talking. I mean,
Yeah.
we will when we hang up from
Yeah,
here.
we'll be
keep
talking until 3 in the morning, I'm sure.
Or maybe not. We're old. We'll be in bed by midnight
Mm-hmm.
for sure. Thanks for being on, you guys. If you have any questions, post them about anything that we've talked about or anything else, and I'll answer them. If not tonight, tomorrow. But I'll be getting married Friday. But I will be on next Wednesday. I'm not sure how much I'll be on, but Joey and I are going to pop on, and we're going to talk about our marriage and what we've been through and how we got to where we are and how we knew that we were ready for each other. But love you guys. I'm so glad that you follow me. Share this with your friends. Join me at my workshop. A lot more of this at my workshop on February 10th. So click the link, sign up, and I'll see you there. Love you guys.
Bye.
Bye.